Hi, back in August of last year or so, I did a Patreon post that talked about the fact that 2D artists that don't necessarily have 3D skills can still use 3D programs to help them better understand how their designs will work in 3D. And Spencer, one of my patrons, asked if I would do a video that described the process of bringing those 2D drawings into the 3D space. And so, Spencer, this video's for you. Here's some sketches I did. Now, these are just purely done for this exercise. Just made up a little teeny theater set, proscenium and some props and an apron and legs. And the other image here is just a backdrop that could be the backdrop on my little stage. And the most important thing about these drawings is that I've drawn them relative scale to each other. So this is actually a quarter-inch scale, so a quarter-inch to the foot. I mainly did that because it made it so that it easily fit within 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And it meant that I was keeping in mind how everything is scaled in relationship to a person. So my little test guy, he's about 6 feet tall. So that gives you an idea of how big the furniture and stuff and the set pieces are in relationship to him. So the next job is to take these drawings or textures and bring them into SketchUp. So opening up SketchUp, I have a front view. And at the moment, I'm not worried about the scale so much until I bring in my drawing. So I'm going to just make a rough rectangle that's roughly the size of a sheet of paper. I'm going to select the surface. I'm going to right-click over here in the Materials window and choose New Texture. And then I'm going to go find that first drawing and bring it in. So I'm bringing that in, and then I select it, and then I'm going to sort of paint it onto this surface. So right now it's sort of posterized. There's multiple versions of it. So I'm going to right-click it and scroll down to Texture, Position, and then I'm going to grab this red pin and I'm going to pin it to this far left corner. Then I'm going to go over to this green pin and I'm going to drag it till I touch the other corner. Okay, and so at the moment everything fit into this rectangle I drew. It didn't fit perfectly. That's okay, as long as everything's there, it's good. Now this is the most important thing, and that is I want to make sure that everything I bring in is the correct scale. And the way that I do that is I'm going to blow this up, and I'm going to go and grab the measuring tool, and I'm going to start over here on the left-hand side of this 24-foot facade or front. I'm going to drag it over here, and I'm going to click it once, and at the bottom it says the length is 34 feet. That's pretty close, but I'm going to type 33 feet. So I'm going to try 34 feet, return, and it's going to ask me, do you want to resize the model? And I want to say yes. So I've said yes, and now I can select away from it, and now I know that every single thing in here is the correct scale because I scaled one element. If you're given like plans views that don't have any scale on it, but there's like a door opening and you know the width of that door, you can choose to rescale it based upon that one element, and then the entire drawing will rescale. But for this concept, just this rough scale that I've given it is enough. So now I've got this flat piece of geometry with all the pieces, and I want to cut them out and start to assemble them into something in 3D. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to just grab these elements. I'm going to start with this rectangle and just grab the stage. And that allows me, let me just grab this edge because I didn't get everything. Go down like this. So now I can grab just that one piece, and then I can make a copy over here. So I'm going to make a copy of that there. I'm going to do the same thing for the other sort of rectangular flats. So here's the apron. So I'm going to grab a rectangle over the apron. I'm going to select it. I'm going to make a copy of it over here. Same over here for the leg. Grab the rectangle tool. And I'm not worried about this being precise or picking up all the lines because my drawing's really rough and it's just meant as a rough sketch. So make a copy of the leg over here. And then I have some other pieces. I have these little bits of furniture. I've got my guy, and then I've got this odd-shaped set piece, and I'm going to bring that in. But instead of the rectangle tool, I'm going to use the pen tool, and I'm going to just draw a line around it. And I just have to make sure that my line goes back to the first line. I'm going to go back to here. There we go. So I can select that, and I'm going to make a copy of that and move it over here. And let me do the same. I'm going to use the rectangle tool to grab him to start with and make a copy of him and place him down there for now. And then this furniture, I'm just going to grab all of them. So I'm going to cut them out individually in a moment. Make a copy of them. I'm going to move them over here. And I'm going to grab all this and just delete it because I don't need this anymore. Now I have all the pieces that I need. I've got the set piece, the set proscenium, I've got the legs, I've got the apron, I've got the set, I've got my furniture, and I've got my person here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two pieces that aren't going to change, the leg, I'm going to select that, I'm going to right click it and make it a component. And I'm going to name that leg. And right place. Because I did this before and my recording didn't work. So some of these are going to ask me if I want to rename ones that already exist. So legs. Okay, and then this set piece here. Oh, and the reason why I'm making these a component is that once I make them a component, I can't edit them while they're, while they're sort of blue selected here, which is great. I don't want to accidentally change something and edit it. I can jump into it by double clicking, and then I can just edit the contents of the component. I could also call them a group, but the advantage to component is that if I have a component, let's say I have a lamppost, and I make it a component, and then I do a landscape and I cover it with lampposts, and then in hindsight I realize the lamppost needs to be 2 feet shorter, I can open just one of those component containers, change the one lamppost, and all other lampposts will automatically change no matter how many I made. So components are a really safe way to make sure that all the pieces that you have are contained, and if you edit any one of them, all the other ones will be edited. So let's go back to this opening here, and I'm going to cut this open and remove my little props here. I'm going to take the pencil tool, start at the corner. Whoops, that's not the pencil tool. Pencil tool, start at the bottom. And I am not worried about being super precise because this is just a rough sketch. I can always come back later and refine this if I want. I'm selecting curtain here, going down. There we go, to the bottom, and now you can see I can select the inside of that and hit delete. I can take an eraser to that bottom edge, and now I've got just the proscenium rough cut out. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to make that a component. So let's call it set front for now. Okay, so now I've got my set piece, I've got my leg, I've got my apron, and then I've got my little guy. Let's do him. I'm going to cut him out like I cut out that opening. So grab my pencil tool, start at his feet. I could also bring him in as a pre-cut out PNG, which I've done when I want something a little bit more refined. And that way he can just be applied to a rectangle. I don't have to worry about cutting him out. But for this purpose, just roughly cutting him out is fine. You can see there's nothing elegant about the drawing. So let me just erase the box around him. And I'm going to select him, make component. I'm going to call him scale avatar for now. And so now I've got my set, I've got my guy, move him over there, got my legs. Now let's do the same thing for the furniture. So let's go through the process of cutting these guys out too, these props. So the trunk, let's make a copy of him. Let's do the table. Oops, that didn't work. One more time. Hello, there. Cut these legs out too, just, I don't know, just to be fussy. And let me select him and make a copy. So here's my table. I'm going to select him and I'm going to right click him and call him, make a component and call him table prop. And then finally the chair. Let's do the chair real quick. Grab my pencil tool. Okay, select him, move him here, make him a component, call him the chair prop. And now I can get rid of this. Delete, move him over here. And so the one thing I haven't done yet is I haven't made this set piece a component, and I'll show you why that is in just a moment. But first, let me move this over here, and I'm going to put down a plane for the stage surface. And that's not super important for this, but it will be important later when I go into VR. So I'm going to select that, I'm going to make the component, and I'm going to call it stage floor. And let's start bringing in these pieces. So I'm going to grab my proscenium. I'm going to grab this leg here, and the legs live on either side of the proscenium. So I'm going to place one there, and I'm going to place a copy of it behind it. Then I'm going to select these two, and I'm going to make copies of these two. So there's my set and my legs. And then the apron lives above the legs. So I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to move it forward a little bit so that it's in front of the legs. And I'm going to make a copy for those legs, and then make another copy back here. Okay, there we go. I've got my stage, I've got legs, I've got the aprons, and let me just drag my furniture over. Furniture there. It looks like the chair is in the middle of the ground, so I'm going to lift it up a little bit. There. Okay, now this piece right here, I actually want to have it to be dimensional. I want to fold it. So I'm going to move it onto this surface here. I'm going to take the pencil tool. I'm going to draw a line here where this seam is. So from here, completely straight down. And now I have two halves. I'm going to grab this half, and I'm going to use the rotation tool. I'm going to grab this flat. Whoops, I grabbed the background too. Let's try that again. Rotate. Just want this guy. And I'm going to move him that. I'm going to do the same here. Collect him. Whoops, don't want the background. I'm going to grab this, and then I'm going to fold it. Now I'm going to select the whole thing and make it a component too. I'm going to call it room set. Okay, so let's move the set in onto the stage. There it is. Let me grab my person here. I'm going to bring him in so I can see the size of everything compared to him. Right now, my room set is kind of hiding what's going to be the backdrop, so I'm going to shrink it a little bit. And this is why it's valuable to see these things in 3D, just, whoop, where's my shrinking thing here? Oh, there it is. I'm gonna shrink it a little bit. Just a little bit, okay. So being able to see how these things work together, they may work just fine on a 2D drawing, but one is not till you get it into the computer. Whoops, I grabbed the floor. Let's move him. Table there. Let's move the chair behind the table. Maybe let's move this trunk. This trunk, for some reason, didn't get saved. Component. Trunk. Set. Okay. Move him over here, maybe just rotate him a little bit. There we go. So there's my set. And that's great. Now, just with my flat drawings, I have my stage and all the repeated legs and aprons and everything I'm going to have in the finished product. The last thing I need is I want a backdrop. And the backdrop could be completely flat. I could just bring another plane, bring in the backdrop, scale it, and then place it. But I actually want to have our backdrop be curved. So to show how to apply a texture to a curved surface, I'm going to look down on the scene and I'm going to just draw a bigger rectangle like that. It's roughly the same size as the stage. And then I'm going to use the pull tool to extrude up to the height of the apron there. And now I'm just going to move this forward so we're not having to look at the set at the moment. Okay, so this is going to be the backdrop. Right now it's got a flat surface. I want this to be curved, so I'm going to take the curve tool here and I'm just going to click on these two front edges and I'm going to make a curve, and then I'm going to take and extrude down the front of the curve so that it's, there's my curved backdrop. I'm going to make this a component so I don't do anything that messes it up. I'm going to call that the curved backdrop. Yes, I've called it that before. Okay, so now I've got a component and there's no texture on it, and I need to be able to apply a texture. I can't bring a texture in and apply to a curved surface. I need to project the texture onto the surface. And the way that I do that is I'll grab another rectangle and I'm going to put a rectangle over the front of that curve. So right here, here's a piece of geometry that's sitting in front of the curve, and I'm going to bring in the texture for that backdrop and I'm going to apply it to that surface. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to bring in a new texture, which is that backdrop, which is my second sketch. Okay, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to apply it here. And like before, it is making multiple copies. So I'm going to right click it. I'm going to choose texture position. I'm going to grab that corner. I'm going to drag it all the way out. And it is smaller than the two pins. So I'm going to drag this down here to that corner, and I'm going to just sort of keep dragging and positioning until I get something that is roughly the correct scale to cover that. Oops. Is that working? That seems to be working. Oop, I need to, one more time, position. Grab that. Let's try this. I kind of got off the right angle here. I'm sticking to the page. There we go. Let's go back. Make it bigger again. Bring it down. Bring it down to fit. Okay, there we go. So the texture is now on this flat surface. I'm going to select that surface. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to choose texture again, but instead of position, I'm going to choose projected. And when I choose projected and I choose the paint bucket and hold down the command key, I get this dropper with a red circle on it. If I select it, that means that I'm selecting for this texture to be projected. Now I can move this away. I can open up my curved surface and I can just paint that curved, that texture onto the curved surface. So now I have the backdrop curved. I can get rid of this guy. He was just there to help me project it. And I can move him back here. And he's a little big, so I'm going to just like shrink him a little bit because I can do that. Okay, so we did it. So we have taken what was basically scaled flat drawings and we've assembled them into a little scene. Now the next most powerful thing that we can do is we can jump into this scene and see what it looks like in VR. So the next thing we're going to do is open this in a program called VR Sketch on the Quest headset, and we're going to jump in and see what our design looks like in 3D. Okay, the last step is we're jumping into VR so we can have a look at our SketchUp model while inside the model itself. So I'm in a program called VR Sketch. I'm on a Meta Quest headset, and I can go into SketchUp and I can click a few buttons and then load the model in here. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going into Gravity Sketch. I'm going into the extension folder or menu item to Gravity Sketch, and then I'm doing send to VR on the Quest. I click go, and now it starts to load up in the VR space. Now this is a tiny model, so it's going to load up really, really fast. But you can see now why we put that floor piece down, just so we had a surface that we could stand on. It first loads in sort of like a tabletop model, so it gives us an opportunity to see this in a way that we were seeing on the 2D screen, but this gives us a little bit more of sort of a white model look at our sketches that have been made 3D. And next I can just choose to jump into the model, and now I am the same scale as the little cutout avatar guy that I created. So this allows me to just sort of move up and have a look at the scale of the environment in relationship to my size. It gives me a real gut feeling as to what's working and what isn't working. You know, what things are a little too big, a little too small, things that I can adjust back in the model or in my design. I can also walk around the back side and have a look at this curved backdrop that I produced, and then work my way back up front again here and have a look at all the pieces working together. So I hope this was helpful and was able to show you how quickly one can get an idea of what their design feels like to be inside of it. This is the perfect place for you to catch those things that aren't working, things that feel too tight, things that feel too small or too big, and then always relating to it from the scale of the avatar or from your vantage point inside the model. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. And thanks a lot for following along.